From powering real-time applications to unlocking the past for strategic insights, databases are the engines of our digital world. In this quick dive, we're shining a spotlight on OLTP. Think fast-paced day-to-day transactions that keep our apps alive. Up next, we'll explore OLAP, the analytical brain that processes historical data, giving us the power to predict and strategize. Get ready to understand the pulse of operational data with OLTP and the wisdom of hindsight with OLAP, and how they're both pivotal in data processing. Plus, learn the critical differences between these systems, from backup routines to their role in your live apps and analytic queries. Stay tuned for a clear-cut comparison that could redefine how you leverage data for decisions.
Welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about OLTP systems or OLTP databases, or you go and call it as data storage system. OLTP is an acronym which stands for Online Transaction and Processing. As the word itself has a term called transaction processing, normally OLTP databases are used in the scenarios where we have to do large number of short-lived transaction. What it means, let's say that I am working in a bank and I have to enable an application which ensures that customers of the bank are able to do their day-to-day transaction. They are able to transfer money among themselves. So to run the application like this, we need a system that ensures the transaction, and it also ensures that both the read and the write that is happening with the database is fast. So normally an OLTP kind of a database is a database which we normally use to run the live applications like bank applications, like uh, any system which wants that quick read and the write should happen to that particular database. Now let's try to understand what what are the scenarios where OLTP makes a lot of sense? Like, what are the use cases where we would prefer that I should have a OLTP database, a OLTP storage layer for running my application? So the first one is data integrity. When you'd like to make sure that your data is not getting corrupted, your data is not getting lost. Once you guarantee something that's in place, that's where OLTP makes a lot of sense. Second one, as I previously mentioned, when you required a lot of processing, both in terms of read and write, and you want that to be short-lived, the query should not be very long, very long-lived. So if you want a fast query processing, again, OLTP is a database of choice. Third, transaction, as it is in the name itself. If you want to make sure that either everything happens or everything gets reverted in the case of issue, it has to be transactional, and this OLTP provides you an option to have a transactional system. Fourth, it has to go and provide a support for both read and the write efficiency. And last but not the least, OLTP systems, and it has to support transaction structure. Schema has to be the result. The schema has to be well defined, and it works on the structural data. Since now we have understood what a OLTP is, let's try to understand it better with the help of an industrial example. Let's say that you are working for a bank and you have to design a system which ensures that every time a customer transfers the money, either it goes and gets credited to the friend's account is transferring it, or in the case of any failure, it should come back. So for that to happen, you have to ensure first of all the transaction, and secondly, both this read and the write operation has to be very fast. And this thing that you need to go and support many times in the whole day of working of your bank. What is that system which will power you right now? OLTP fits in as a right solution here. Another example of that could be like, say, booking.com. There you need to do a lot of reservation. You have to deal with the live traffic. Not only that, any application which has to go and deal with the live traffic has to ensure that read and the write is happening with an application at a fast rate. In all those situations where you have to go and help a live traffic, OLTP system is used for those. Now let's try to understand what OLAP system is. It's again an acronym that stands for Online Analytical Processing. What a OLAP data storage layer or a database is, which helps you to store data historically in a large amount in a time sequence fashion, so that you're not using it for running your live traffic, but understand the user behavior, to understand how your business is working, where the business is moving year over year, and find some insights to drive the business. So as the word analytics is the key part of this OLAP system, it helps you to run some kind of analysis on your data and helps you to get the proper insights to drive the future business. Let's try to understand now the few of the scenarios where OLAP makes a lot of sense. So let's say that if you have to go and store a time series data over period of many years, first of all you need to have a lot of storage to do it, and at the same time you need to have the capabilities to bring meaning out of this time series data. That's where a OLAP system makes a lot of sense. As already mentioned, the OLAP system helps you to store the historical data, time series data for a very long period of time. An OLAP system, since it has the analytical capabilities, that's built on the top of your capability of running the aggregation. Say for example, maximum salary, average sales, minimum performance, right? So all these aggregation are provided inbuilt functionality in any OLAP system. Last but not the least, the purpose of having a time series data, the purpose of having historical data, the purpose of providing the aggregation is to bring analytics. So most of these OLAP systems are tuned towards providing the analytical options. And last but not the least, since there you'll be running a lot of complex queries, joins, aggregations, most of the time the queries are pretty complex compared to the OLTP systems, and it also takes substantially larger amount of time to get any meaningful results. So now let's try to understand this OLAP system with a more industrial example so that it gets more clear to us.
If you've made it this far in the video, give us a like, a share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and tell us what you want to learn next in the comments, and then wait. Or skip the wait and break into data science in just 6.5 months with the graduate certificate program in data science from Upgrad in collaboration with experts from Meta, Myntra, and LinkedIn. You also get to learn hands-on through 4 industry case studies and live sessions on how to crack top data jobs. And now, back to the video.
Let's try to take the same example. Previously, we saw the example of a bank where for its day-to-day use case for managing the transaction between its customers, it used the OLTP system. But the same bank also have a OLAP use case. Bank as an organization, many of times they kind of have different kind of initiatives where they work for. Let's say that one of that is providing loans to their customers. Now, bank has been giving loans to the customer for many years now. And during this whole exercise of giving loans, many of the times the customer returns it on time. Sometimes the banks find it's tough to get the loaned amount returned back to the bank. So now, let's say that you are working in a bank and next time your bank is deciding to give a loan to your next prospective buyer or customer, how will you decide that what should be the loan amount? Is he the eligible enough? Apart from all the credentials, KYC that person is providing you. That's one of the situations where the OLAP systems can come into the play. So what banks can do is that they kind of go and store all that historical records of every loan processing that they have done in the past and see like which category of the people, based on their age, based on their working group, based on their salary category, how many of them to what range of the loan amount has been returned normally and what has been lapsed. Based on this data, we can bring some kind of analytics to decide on the next person who is asking for the loan, what should be his eligibility amount, and whether he is the right person to which we should be disbursing the loan amount. So when you go and use your data storage system for these kind of use cases, which is not your day-to-day activity, but based on your historical data, that's what typically is a OLAP system. Now, since we have understood what a OLTP system is and what a OLAP system is, let's try to compare OLTP and OLAP. Let's try to compare OLTP and OLAP system hand to hand. So if we first look from the perspective of what kind of data is being processed, normally OLTP is used for the operational data, whereas OLAP is responsible for handling the industrial data, historical data, conventional data, which you don't need for the day-to-day operations. Now, based on this fact, since OLTP deals with the operational data, OLTP systems are used to run the live applications. On the other hand, OLAP systems deals with the historical data, so it helps you decide what next feature that you should go and add to the application. Now, again coming back to the OLTP, since it is a live system, you need to provide the support for the continuous read and write. Whereas in the OLAP system, it's mostly done in the form of the batches. You'll keep on storing the data, and let's say that at one moment in the day, say like every 12 hours or every 24 hours, you run some job to do the read and the write. The case of OLTP, since it is what drives your live application, customers are too much worried about it. So the data is very, very important there. So you need to take the continuous backup of data in the OLTP system. Whereas OLAP, the data is important, but we don't do so much of backup at very regular interval. We do a irregular or denormalized way of backing up the data, where we, let's say that we are storing or making a backup of data every 24 hours. So what we understand on a high level is that if you have to go and run your application, what you need to use, OLTP is the choice for that. But if you want to understand well how your application is running, predict what next big thing that you can add to your application, that's where the OLAP comes into the play.
Understanding OLTP and OLAP is crucial in today's data-driven decision-making landscape. आगे की सोचो and continue your journey of knowledge and discovery with Upgrad to ensure you're always equipped to leverage the latest in data processing technologies.